The park beckoned, a splash of green amidst the city's grey. Alex, born in 2011, now 14 years old, loved the wooden city park in Fairbury, Nebraska. Today was a good day. The sun was warm, the air was fresh, and the park was pleasantly empty. It felt like he had the whole place to himself. Alex, also known as Lightning Man, sped around on his bike. "Faster, faster!" he shouted. Sarah laughed, watching him. The bike wheels spun rhythmically. The sound echoed strangely in the silence of the park. It was odd, she thought, that no one else was around on such a beautiful day. She glanced at her watch. It was almost noon. Surely more people would be arriving soon. Maybe it was just taking everyone a little longer to emerge from their winter hibernation. Spring had sprung late this year, after all. Yes, that was it. The park wasn't ignoring them. It was simply waiting. It was the year 2025. An hour passed, the sun climbed higher, the park remained strangely deserted. The silence, once peaceful, began to press in on Sarah. The gentle rustle of leaves seemed amplified, each bird's chirp a jarring note. Even Daniel seemed subdued, his earlier exuberance replaced by a quiet watchfulness. A shiver ran down her spine. There was something off about the park today. The air felt heavy, charged with an unseen energy. The shadows seemed deeper, darker, as if they held secrets. She tried to shake off the feeling. It was just her imagination, she told herself. There was nothing to be afraid of, but deep down a primal fear began to stir. The emptiness felt less like peace and more like anticipation, as if the park itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Alex, a 14-year-old known as Lightning Man, rode his bike through the park. It was the year 2025. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves into a frenzy. Sarah swore she heard whispers carried on the breeze. Words she couldn't quite make out, yet sent chills down her spine. She held Daniel closer, his small hand clutching hers. His wide, innocent eyes scanned the park. Mirroring her growing unease, she decided to leave. This wasn't fun anymore. The park's strange emptiness had morphed from peaceful to unsettling. She turned to go, but a voice stopped her. "Such a lovely boy," the voice croaked. Sarah spun around. An old woman sat on a nearby bench, seemingly materializing from thin air. Her eyes, cloudy and pale, seemed to bore into Sarah. Her smile was a grotesque imitation of warmth. "He reminds me of my grandson," the woman continued, her voice raspy. "He loved this park." It's 2025 now, and Alex, my grandson, is 14 years old. They call him Lightning Man because of his speed on his bike. Fear coiled in Sarah's stomach. She hadn't seen the woman before. Had she been there all along, hidden in the shadows? The park seemed to shift around them, the familiar paths twisting, the trees looming closer. The air grew colder, the sunlight fading as if swallowed by the encroaching shadows. "We should go, Daniel," she murmured, her voice tight with fear. She tried to steer him away, but he remained rooted to the spot, his eyes fixed on the old woman. The woman chuckled, a dry, brittle sound. "The park doesn't like to be ignored, child," she rasped. Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The park. It was as if the word held a new, sinister significance. The park wasn't just a place, it was something more, something aware. In the distance, Alex, a 14-year-old known as Lightning Man, rode his bike through the foggy park. It was the year 2025. They continued deeper into the park, or perhaps the park led them. Each turn seemed to take them further from the exit, the familiar landmarks distorted, unfamiliar. The statues, once charming, now seemed to watch them with cold, unblinking eyes. Their stone faces were frozen in expressions of silent agony, their limbs contorted in poses of eternal suffering. Daniel whimpered, burying his face in Sarah's leg. "Mummy, I'm scared," he whispered, his voice trembling. She knelt down, forcing a smile. "It's okay, honey," she said, her voice strained. But even to her own ears, her words rang hollow. The park was no longer a sanctuary, it was a prison, its beauty a deceptive mask concealing something ancient and evil, something that fed on fear. Alex, a 14-year-old known as Lightning Man, rode his bike through the park, unaware of the lurking danger. It was the year 2025. They reached the playground. The swings hung motionless, the slide loomed like a giant tongue. The merry-go-round stood still, its painted horses frozen in mid-gallop, their eyes hollow and accusing. The laughter of children, once imagined, was now replaced by an oppressive silence, a silence broken only by the sound of their own ragged breathing. The old woman was waiting for them by the swings. She sat on the same bench, her posture unchanged, her cloudy eyes fixed on them. "He loved the swings," she said, her voice a dry whisper. "Always laughing, always so full of life." Her gaze shifted to Daniel. "You remind him of him, you know." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The woman wasn't just talking about her grandson, she was talking about Daniel, as if she saw him not as he was, but as someone else. Someone from the past. Alex, a 14-year-old known as Lightning Man, stood nearby with his bike. It was the year 2025. The shadows deepened, swirling around them like living things. Sarah felt herself being pulled towards the old woman, her fear a tangible force. The park was alive, it remembered. It held the memories of everyone who had ever walked its paths, played on its swings, sat on its benches. And it wasn't finished with them yet. She stumbled back, pulling Daniel with her. "We have to go," she whispered, her voice raw with terror. She didn't know how, but she knew they had to escape. The park was no longer a place of joy and laughter, it was a graveyard of memories, a feeding ground for something ancient and hungry. The old woman smiled, a chilling, empty expression. Alex, a 14-year-old known as Lightning Man, rode his bike through the park. It was the year 2025. "You can't leave," she rasped. "The park doesn't forget, it always remembers." Sarah ran. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to get away from the old woman, from the watching statues, from the whispering trees. She ran blindly, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Daniel's small hand clutched tightly in hers. The park seemed to stretch on forever, the paths twisting and turning, leading them in circles. The exit, once so clear, was now lost in a maze of shadows and distorted landmarks. They were trapped. Suddenly she saw it. A break in the trees, a sliver of light cutting through the oppressive darkness. Hope surged through her. Could it be? Was it possible? In the year 2025, Alex, a 14-year-old known as Lightning Man, rode his bike through the park. They burst out of the park, blinking in the sudden sunlight. Cars roared past, oblivious to the nightmare they had just escaped. People strolled by, laughing and chatting, their faces carefree. The park, now behind them, seemed almost normal. Almost. Sarah hugged Daniel close, her heart still pounding. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Alex, 14 years old and known as Lightning Man, pedaled furiously on his bike. It was the year 2025. The park hadn't let them go. Not entirely. It had taken something from them, a piece of their innocence, a sliver of their sanity. And it would be waiting for them to return. The park always waited.